Hello and welcome to our lesson on the order of operations. So what is the order of operations? Well, it was a system, a set of rules put in place so that when any person attempts to evaluate a math problem where there are several operations included, that we all arrive at the same answer. Okay, if we aren't all following the same protocols and we decide to do things in different orders, we end up with different answers, then it's no good. So we need a system, an order in place, and that's exactly what the order of operations is. It's an order in which to apply our mathematical operations so that we all arrive at the same consistent solutions. So we're going to say here, to create consistency in evaluating mathematical expressions, mathematicians developed an order in which to perform these mathematical operations. So the order, which we commonly refer to as Pemdas, some of you may remember, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, to go along with that acronym, PEMDAS, but basically helps us remember the order in which we perform our mathematical operations. So the first thing that we're trying to do is work inside of the parentheses. That's what the P stands for, although that's sort of specific. It really could be any set of grouping symbols. So we could have parentheses or brackets. Sometimes you'll see the braces, but those are usually for a set and not an operation. But parentheses and brackets work the same way. Even absolute values we kind of handle the same way. We would work inside there first. So anything inside of grouping symbols should be simplified first. And then if we have any exponents, we would take care of that exponential notation and multiply the bases by themselves that exponential amount of times. And then we have multiplication and division. So multiplication and division technically go together. I think the acronym and the little phrase that goes with it just sounds a little bit better with the M first and then the D, but just as we saw in the last lesson, these operations happen left to right. So we want to perform any multiplication or division from left to right. So if there was division and then multiplication in the problem, that division would happen before the multiplication. So we want to work left to right with those two. And again, addition and subtraction are lumped together. So A is for addition, and then S is for subtraction. And they just fit nicely in the acronym in this order, but if you're working on a problem where there is subtraction and then addition, we're going to do that subtraction first. So adding and subtracting is left to right. Okay, those get lumped together. And so these happen together, and these happen together. Okay, so it's really parentheses, exponents, and then multiply, divide, or divide, multiply, and then add, subtract, or subtract, add. Okay? And the last, or the good news is in all of this, right, is we want to use a calculator to verify what we're doing. Use a calculator to verify your work. Okay? So let's try this out. In this particular example, we don't have any grouping symbols, so we can skip the P. If you want to use this as a little checklist, that's kind of handy as well. So nothing to do there. We don't have any exponents. So now we want to look at multiplication and division, and we'll just go left to right with that. So 15's not being multiplied or divided by anything. Let's bring that down. But we do have a -2 times a 5, so we're going to perform that multiplication. -2 times +5 makes a -10, and then we're going to bring down the +3. And now we've taken care of multiplication. There is no division, so now it's adding and subtracting, again, left to right. So left to right now, the 15 minus 10 leaves us 5, and then I bring down the +3, and we put together 5 and 3 to make 8. So 8's going to be our final simplification. And again, the calculator will verify. So 15 minus 2 multiplied by 5 plus 3. And the calculator does those order of operations as well. So there it is. All right, let's try the next one here. Again, if you want to use your checklist here, so anything in parentheses happens first. So I'm going to bring down my -15, my divide, my 3. I'm going to figure out what's inside of the parentheses first, which in this case is 6 minus 4, or 2. So that's my first step. And then exponents. So again, I'm going to bring down my negative 15, my divide 3, and I'm going to figure out what this piece is right here. It's 2 squared. That makes 4. And I'm going to keep the parentheses because whatever that result is, it needs to be multiplied by 3. So, oops. Okay, so I did my exponents, and now it's multiplying and dividing, but that has to happen left to right. So there's division, then multiplication in this particular problem. So left to right, negative 15 divided by 3 makes a negative 5. Now I can multiply the 4, so final result is negative 20. Okay, get rid of that. And again, let's go to Desmos just to verify. So a negative 15 divided by 3. Oh, it's not gonna. I wish. Okay, calculator issues. 6 minus 4, split that, squared, and then I don't think I can write it all in line. Jeez, what is this business I'm telling you the calculator will do that it won't do? Okay, so I'm having issues with this calculator. I can't, if you can put this all in one line in your calculator, it should calculate it for you. However, it's forcing me to make a fraction here. So I can't trust my calculator on this one. I'm gonna have to go good old mental math. Now, when it's already in fraction format, calculator is going to be good, and that's probably a nice thing because this can look a little intimidating. So you're going to just have to be careful with these division symbols in the calculator because I can't actually put that symbol in my calculator, although you probably can if you're dealing with another type. Alright, so using my little checklist, I'm going to do anything inside of my parentheses or grouping symbols first. So I'm going to take care of this 9 minus 7. So I'm looking at 12 times, instead of 9 minus 7, I'm making that a 2. Plus I have 4 times 5, and then on the bottom I have 2 to the 4th and 3 to the 2nd. So did that. Now I'm going to deal with my exponents. So I'm going to leave 12 times 2 and plus 4 times 5 alone for just a second. I'm going to go ahead and do this exponents on the bottom. 2 to the 4th means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8, times another 2 is 16 there. And that's going to be multiplied by 3 squared, which is going to make a 9. Oh, and that's a plus in between. Jeez Louise. Okay, so I took care of exponents. Next is multiplication or division. So I've got a bunch of multiplication to do here. I'm going to go ahead and multiply these guys. 12 and 2 makes 24. I'm going to multiply here. 4 and 5 makes a positive 20, so plus 20. And then on the bottom, I still have this 16 plus 9. Okay, so did that, no division. And now the addition. So 24 and 20 makes 44 in my numerator. And 16 and 9 is going to make 25 in my denominator. And that's as far as we can go with that one. That's not going to be reducible. And again, we can try to verify here. So if you want to type a fraction, hit the divide button first. Let's go 12 parentheses 9 minus 7. It's always good. Sometimes I'm thinking my brain's working and it's really not. So it's always good to check your work. Assuming you can, right? Because that didn't really work in the last one. All right, on the bottom, 2 to the 4th. And then we want to add 3 squared. And it gives me 1.76. Now I have the fraction format, so remember in the blue here, it has a little picture of a fraction. If we tap on the picture of the fraction, it will turn it into our fractional form, which is 44 over 25. So we're good. All right, next one. Got a lot going on in this problem. So let's use the checklist. Okay, inside of our grouping symbols first, we have 2 sets of grouping symbols. We have brackets and we have parentheses. So we're going to work on the innermost ones first. So I'm just going to bring all this down. Okay, what I'm working on first is what do I have in that set of parentheses? And the 3 minus 5, that's what I'm looking at, becomes a negative 2. Okay. Now, I'm working on inside of this set of grouping symbols and I have to follow the order of operations inside that group. So I did the parentheses in there. Now I want to do the exponents in there. So I'm going to bring down all of this stuff that I'm not going to mess with yet. This is going to be 9 plus 2 times, well, this negative 2 has to be cubed. So negative 2 times negative 2 times, this is why we use parentheses and not multiply dots. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That's going to be 4. 4 times negative 2 makes a negative 8. So when I take care of my exponents there, negative 2 cubed brings me down an negative 8 to multiply by that 2. Now I'm going to multiply. Multiply happens before adding. So again, 8 divided by 4 plus 3, and this becomes 9. And then multiplying 2 and negative 8 makes a negative 16. And now inside of that grouping symbol, I can finally subtract. So we have 8 divided by 4 plus 3, and then 9 minus 16 becomes a negative 7. Whew, okay. So that was the parentheses, followed by order of operations inside of the parentheses. Now we want exponents, done. Multiply and divide left to right. So I'm going to divide here. 8 divided by 4 is going to make 2, plus I'm going to multiply here. The 3 and negative 7 is going to make a negative 21. So I can go plus negative 21 like this, which is the same as just 2 minus 21. Now I can go ahead and subtract. So I end up with a negative 19. Remember, they're different signs. Find the difference and keep the sign of the bigger number. And if you can do this in fewer steps, by all means. I just don't want to lose anyone. This is another one I'm not going to be able to plug into my calculator because it's not going to let me put that division symbol in there. Good grief. Well, let's go ahead and just make it a 2. 8 divided by 4 out there, that's going to lump together and make a 2. That way I can verify the rest of it at least. So we have 3, and then Desmos does not like brackets, so just use parentheses twice. 9 plus 2, second set of parentheses. 3 minus 5, close that one. Cube it, and then close that one, and there it is, negative 19. Okay? So calculator's somewhat helpful. All right. That's our order of operations. Now I want to try to not erase my work. Did I erase stuff? I sure did. Oops, going too far. I'm just trying to see what I erased. Sometimes I put my eraser on and I try to go to the next page and then I just erase on accident. All right, on the back, we're going to see a couple new situations, still using order of operations, but new places to apply them. So example number 5 here, which we've seen evaluating in one of our previous sections, but now we're going to have to put order of operations in play as well. So if I want to evaluate this expression for x equals 6, that means I have to replace the x with negative 6. I'm going to plug it in and figure out what I get. So negative 30 divided by, I'm going to put in negative 6 for that x, and negative 6 for the other x, plus 4, and then that's going to be squared. Now it's good practice to use parentheses when you replace. So now I have parentheses all over this problem. Now, inside of my innermost parentheses first, right? Use my grouping symbols. Go here first. So this is going to be a negative 6 and a positive 4. They're different signs, so we subtract. Keep the sign of the bigger number. So inside of that set of parentheses, I end up with a negative 2. And I still have a negative 6 here. Still have a divide, and I still have a negative 30. Took care of that. Now exponents. So we want to square here. A negative 2 times a negative 2 is going to make a positive 4. So I have a negative 30 divided by a negative 6 multiplied by a positive 4. Now again, it's tempting to want to do that multiplication first, but we did that multiplication division lumped together left to right. So we're going here first. Negative 30 divided by negative 6 makes 5. Then we can multiply the 4 to make our final answer 20. Okay? So 20 is that one. And now the next one, you're going to notice we have some variables in here, or a variable, we have x in here again, but nothing to evaluate for. So what we're going to do is try to apply our order of operations to an algebraic expression. The rules are the same. We would follow Pemdas, okay? But just sometimes we don't have the option. So like here, for instance, if I try to go inside of my parentheses first, can I actually add these two terms? I cannot. So if I can't add the two terms because they aren't like terms, then I want to keep moving down the line. All right? So I can't do the parentheses. There aren't any exponents here. I can multiply, however. So 5x minus 9, nothing to multiply there, but that's what this 2 means next to the parentheses. So I'm going to do that multiplication. In this case, it's distribution. So 2 times 4x makes 8x, and then 2 times 5 makes 10. And now we don't have any division, we can do our addition and subtraction. Remember, this has to be like terms. So I can go ahead and put together the 5x and the 8x, that makes 13x, and the negative 9 and the positive 10, which makes a positive 1. And that's going to be my simplified expression. Okay? It's going to be similar here on number 7. I can't do anything inside of the parentheses here. Those are not like terms. So no parentheses, no exponents, but I can multiply. This is like a negative 1 sitting in front of the parentheses. So I have to multiply that in. So I'm going to bring down my 7x squared, bring down my minus 2x. Negative 1 times negative 4x squared makes that a positive 4x squared. And negative 1 times positive 9x makes a negative 9x. And now I can combine like terms. So 7x squareds plus 4 more x squareds is 11x squareds. And then negative 2x's and negative 9x's is negative 11x's. And that's going to be my simplified algebraic expression. Okay? All right, last one. So again, can't do anything inside these parentheses since those are not like terms. So I'm going to go to my multiplication. So 10 is going to come down. There might be some temptation to subtract here, but multiply has to happen first. So 10 comes down. Negative 3 times x makes a negative 3x. Negative 3 times 2 makes a negative 6. And when the parentheses stop, so does the distribution. Okay? So we're only distributing inside of the parentheses, which means the plus 5x just comes down. And now we combine like terms. So I have 10 and a negative 6, 10 minus 6, which makes 4. And then I have a negative 3x and a positive 5x, which makes a positive 2x. And so that's my simplified form. Now, if you wanted to rewrite this as 2x plus 4, since addition is commutative, it's okay to change the order in which we add, so get the same answer. That would be perfectly acceptable as well. So 4 plus 2x or 2x plus 4. Okay? And that's really true for all of these. If we wanted to switch these terms around, it'd be totally okay. So there it is, your order of operations, also applied to some algebraic expressions. I think you have enough to get going on your practice, but if you find yourself needing help, then an email or a text away. All right, until next time, take care.